Hi everyone, this is Meenal here and welcome to my channel. This is that channel where we interview Indian females who are into ultra running in India. But I have a female who may not be from India by birth, but she's very much Indian at heart. So let's welcome Koki, who's been in India for quite some while. Over to you, Koki. Can you just introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about yourself?
So thank you for inviting me. So my name is actually Corina, but most people know me as Kokkie van Dam. I was born and brought up in the Netherlands. Currently I'm living in Mumbai for the last 7 years.
All right. So, Koki, can you tell us a little bit about what prompted you to move from Netherlands, which is a very much a developed country, into Kenya and then to India? So, how's the journey been?
Okay, sure. So I was trained as a sport coach. Actually, when I was quite young, I was like 16 when I started doing that. And actually, quite soon, I thought I'm not very interested in teaching children or adults, in the technical aspects of sport. And then at some point, someone came to talk about his work, and he was working in a mental health clinic. And there I understood actually the concept of using sport as a tool. So actually I took that up and also worked for about 20 years in a mental health clinic. By that time I was 40 and thought like, what am I going to do next? I had a very interesting midlife crisis. And I like to travel. And during my travels, I also was on a sabbatical leave and started volunteering. And, again, there I came in a situation where I could use sport as a tool. So actually, that's how I got into the concept of sport actually as a tool for social change. And that's how I went to Kenya. So I was sent out as a professional volunteer through voluntary service overseas. And I joined an organization as a football development worker and worked with adolescent girls and young women actually in training girls as coaches, training girls as players, but everything actually with the idea of women's empowerment in mind. So I've been there all in all 11 years. And after that, I came to India and I work for the Young People's Initiative, which actually does the same. So we're using netball and a life skills program to empower adolescent girls and young women.
So, Koki, I'll tell you, as Indian women or as Indian people, we find it very difficult to move across countries all by ourselves. That's where I'll tell you, that's where I started this channel, because I used to listen to a lot of ultra women from other countries. I felt they were more freer, or they were not so bound by their families not to do something that they really are passionate about. Now, if I hear your story, you moved across the country while you were nearly 40 years of age. So, was there anything that pulled you back into your own country, like your family or so? Or were you free to just move to another country at the brink of the thought? Or how was that decision?
There are so many aspects about this question. I think one thing is like the way we are brought up. India is very much like, a culture where you live with your family. And, the way I'm raised is more like, as a girl, you need to be independent and be able, to care for yourself, to earn your own money and not depend on anyone else. And perhaps I've taken that a little bit, to the far end. Because, I've had relationships, but I've never married. So in that sense, I've been quite free. I think one thing that held me back at some point was one, let's say, financial situation. Once you have like a good job and like a pension scheme and, everything is actually so good, then actually it becomes difficult to make a change and take a risk. So that was one thing that held me back.
Now, Cookie, can you tell me a little bit more about your profession, how you really use sports as a tool to empower women? Can you just talk to me a little bit about that?
So yeah, currently I'm working for the Young People's Initiative. So we're working with girls and young women in the ages of 10 and 25, and we're using sport. So, instead of working with girls in the classroom, and talking to them about, decision making, managing conflicts, about menstruation, gender-based violence, we do it on the sport ground. So we take them outside, do games with them, have discussions around it, but also encourage them actually to start playing sports. There are still so many like girls and young women who don't have that opportunity. They go to schools where there's no sport, there are no extracurricular activities. The PT hours are actually used for something else, or there is no teacher at all, or the teacher who is there is actually doing other work. So we have a lot of girls who don't have the opportunity to play sports, and often they are not encouraged or really discouraged to go out and play. And that's especially because they rely on like public grounds, and the public grounds are always occupied by boys and men. So parents actually see that as places that are not safe for girls. So girls often, they go to school, they come back, do household chores, make their homework, perhaps see some family members, and that is that. As you said, they don't have that freedom, to go out and explore and to play. So what we do is really starting with their right to play. And, we take them out and we start playing with them. For a lot of girls, it's the first time, so we learn them skills. We try to help make them comfortable with actually going out there in that public space, but also start discussions with the boys who are occupying that space. And that's really where we start talking about their rights. Making them aware about how they are brought up, actually not to raise their voice, not to occupy space. There are a lot of restrictions on what they can wear. And yeah, that's how we start. And the more they play, the more they also start talking to their parents, like, I can't play whenever I'm wearing this. So sport and play in these public grounds or even in schools gives these girls also an opportunity, to really start thinking about who they are, what they can do, and starting to talk with their parents, their brothers, and people in the community about these things. So that's like an empowerment process, which it goes slowly, step by step. But I think, rather than talking about these issues, being with them in a situation in which they can really take the step, and claim that space and, be there and, show people in the community that they can be leaders, that they can play, that they can organize their own activities, and yeah.
Okay. So, Cookie, tell me now, who are these females? Are they from some NGO, or are they from some government school, or are they some from slums around in Mumbai? Where do you kind of find them and then start training them?
Yeah, so we work with girls mostly like in Mumbai and Bangalore in Triathlon schools, and in Delhi also in government schools. So that's like, the schools that we work with, but we also work in communities, and it's usually like, the urban slum communities where we work then. Yeah.
So when it comes to the female hygiene, the menstruation, what kind of challenges do you face? Do you see that they don't come to train for those 5 days, or do you empower them, tell them, distribute pads, or how does the process goes? Because the mindset is not to train for those 5 days.
I think the menstruation sessions are like the most important and the most popular like sessions in our program, because still a lot of girls don't know anything about it. So often it's the first time that they really learn something about it, that they could get knowledge about it, that they start understanding, the different methods that they can use. I think the most successful session in that sense is really talking with them about all the myths and misconceptions that are there, about the things that they actually can't do when they have their periods. And a lot of girls, it's a quite an impactful like session. Most of the time they also, it is the session that they discuss with their mothers. So they go home and they tell all the things that they've learned. I mean, often the mothers are also not aware of it. But what we hear a lot is that, the girls then actually are able to convince the parents or the mothers, but that the mothers say like, okay, you go ahead, but I can't change. Yeah. So
But
that
that's a
happens.
change in itself.
That
Letting
is
them
a
go
huge
ahead is
change.
a change in
Absolutely.
itself. So I'm really happy you're trying to bring that change. But from there, let's move on to your running career. If I talk about cooking, you started running back in 2018 with a 10 kilometers, and you won your first ever race, which was 10-kilometer Tata
Yeah.
Mumbai Marathon. And if I just talk about a couple of other runs that you've done, it's 6 hours run, the Mumbai Night Run in 2018. Then a 12-hour run in Mumbai. Probably then in 2022, you did a 24 hours run where you clocked 100 plus kilometers, and you did a Khardungla 72 kilometers. Along with that, you've also done a full triathlon and half Ironman as well. You've done a couple of long swimming sessions as well. So I understand that your personality is such that you embrace different kinds of sports. Now, tell me one thing. If I just go back to the very first run that you did, which was 10 kilometers in Tata Mumbai Marathon,
Yeah.
can you just tell me what age was it that when you did this race, and what went into your mind of doing this race? Because at what age did you start running and why?
Okay, so TMM, my first TMM, I think then I was 52. Okay, the thing is, of course, I've always been in sport. I was trained as a sport coach. So in that sense, I'm really privileged. I learned cycling when I was young. I learned swimming when I was young. I learned running when I was young. And I've done it throughout my life. I never really liked running. I was a football player. I always played like in the middle, in the center of the field, which actually means you have to run a lot. But I was not never interested in running. I actually only started running when I changed my work. I went to another location, and I lived very close to the office or to the clinic where I then worked. So for me, the best way to get rid of, or to get away from my work and to get to clear my head was actually go for a run. So I did that, but it was like more jogging, not really running.
I think from the place where you come from, running at that age wasn't a difficult or a different thing for you, right? It just came naturally and you just embraced it, correct? You did
Yeah.
not have a stigma in your mind that you can't start running at that age or so. Probably back in your own country, you would have seen, people at that age also running. Am I
I
correct
I
in
actually,
saying that?
I mean, I actually never really looked at it, like, because I didn't see that many people running. And I think also, like in the Netherlands, it has really changed over the last couple of years. And recently I went to the Netherlands, and perhaps it's also the time of the day. But when I started running, I was like, okay, I only see old people running here. So there, I was like, okay, where are the young people? I thought, okay, probably they're working or whatever. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Mhm.
and actually quite a lot of women. I was like, oh wow, so many old women. I'm like really,
You're
like
more
one of the
Indian
large
now.
group of.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
probably.
saying. You're more Indian now, having lived in India and probably, outside of Netherlands for so long that you're finding things that are happening there a bit strange.
Like I'm a stranger there, honestly. I was with my family, and they have this, very nice house. So we had this discussion. So I, like in 1 hour, I get an update about what has changed over the last couple of years. And then they were saying like, there are just not enough houses for people. And I was just looking, I was like, but you can split up this house, no? I mean, you can in Mumbai, you can just make 10 apartments of this. And I'm really like, why would you need so much space? And then my sister and my brother-in-law, they're looking at me like, this woman is crazy. So yeah, I think going back will be very difficult. Yeah. India has definitely changed, yeah, the way I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Cookie, from there, tell me about your first event. How was it? How did you think of participating in Tata Mumbai Marathon 10 kilometers in 2018? From a leisurely jogger to, participating in an event. How did that
It
happen?
was actually work because at that point we were Standard Chartered was organizing the marathon, and Standard Chartered was one of our donors. So we always got like free entrance for the what's called the Dream Run, and then we went with all the colleagues and all the girls. So my first time when I was there, I came, in my sport clothes, ready to run. I got really stuck because the Dream Run you can't run. So then a colleague and I said, okay, then next year we're going to do the 10. And that was the first time that it was like this charity run. So I was actually mainly there as, also as a role model for my colleagues. Like, come on, participate. We're going to do the race. Yeah, and I finished first, which I actually I hadn't even thought about it.
So now, Koki, if I just talk about doing a 10K leisurely for being healthy is different and doing a full marathon is different. How did you really scale up the distance from 10K to full marathon? Was that easy for you, or did you train with someone, or you self-coached yourself? How did that happen?
I think I just ran. I do all those things that coaches said that you should never do. So I started the Procam slam with the 10 kilometer in Bangalore. And yeah, at the end, I ran the Tata Mumbai Marathon. Usually it's not advisable, but yeah, I've been able to do that. Actually, found out that I really like long distances. I'm more, someone for the longer distances, like than the shorter. Just really happy if I can get into my zone and, do those things that you think, yeah, should I do this? Is this not too much? Then I'm getting happy.
Mhm. No, but
Yeah.
Koki, how did you prepare? Did you prepare specifically for the full marathon, or you just went with the flow? Did you
No,
take
no,
any?
I increased my mileage, of course,
Mhm.
because I mean, you know it all along. Once we started at the 10, and that was like in April or May, then I knew that in October half marathon was coming, then the 25 and then the full. So I increased my mileage, but I've never trained under a coach. It's only now since 2 weeks that I'm working with someone who helps me with cycling to improve my cycling.
So, Koki, now I see that once you did a full marathon, then you scale your distances further to 12 hours and 24 hours. But at the same time, you've always been physically active into a lot of other sports. As you
Yeah.
said, you were a football player and you never really stopped playing.
Yeah.
So when it came to, you did the Mumbai Ultra 12 hours in 2019 and you were a winner there as well. Winner means you must have clocked a good distance also. So again, when it came to this 12-hour run from a full marathon to that, did you scale it? As I think you're not under a coach, so you must have scaled it yourself. But did you do your long runs with some training group or with someone, or you prefer to do your long runs all by yourself? How does that
Yeah.
happen?
I prefer to run alone. It's quite difficult to find people who run at the same pace. I have to run slower or they have to run slower, and both are not very comfortable. So I just prefer like to go alone. And, you know, exactly from my house to NCPA is 21 kilometers. So, and actually it's a great route. I start from home, and I end, at a place where everyone ends their run and you can have tea and breakfast, and take the train back. So that's how I started. And at some point I thought, let me not take the train back. So then, I made the route like a little bit longer. So I think that's how I like increase the distance. But in that sense, it also doesn't really make sense to run more than like a marathon distance. I've only done it for Khardungla, which was last year in September. So, yeah, September. And at that point of time, Comrades was also in August. So these races were more or less together. And then there were actually a couple of runs where people who are doing Comrades came together. So I did a few night runs with them. The thing is, everyone runs individually, but there's then support with hydration and with food. So these are actually the only longer runs, which I really did as a practice for another event. And then, of course, it's also important to actually go to places where there's a bit of elevation, especially as a preparation for Khardungla.
Okay. So, Cookie, now tell me, now why you would have prepared? I think, as you said, maybe the longest run that you did for your 12 hours ultra in Mumbai in 2019 was probably a full marathon, correct? Yeah. And then you went ahead and tried the 12 hours run all by yourself. Now, I just want to understand the mindset. You are all alone. Now, if something happens to you, are you okay to take it on? You know what?
No, but you're not alone, no? I mean, either it's a stadium run or it's like Mumbai Ultra, but there are always people around. And I really enjoy that because you're doing your own thing, but in the same time, you're with other people and everyone is doing their own thing. So,
but yeah, you come back to home and then you have to do all the things for yourself. If something happens, if you have to go to a doctor, or let's suppose if it doesn't work well, the run. So does that things go into your mind, or your mind is already trained after having stayed by yourself for so long?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a problem, no. I mean, the good thing is I just go home, take a shower and go to bed. There are no family members who are asking like, so, and how was it? And we also need to eat. I mean, I don't have that. I can just go to bed and think like, okay, I'll eat tomorrow morning, or, I go somewhere, eat some rice and then go to bed. I mean, I know that there are always people, if I'm not feeling well, I know that there were always people, who will be there for me. So, I think, yeah, in that sense, like if you're all alone, then, building good relationships with your neighbors and, building good, like friendships are really important. Yeah. And I think Indians are the most kind people, like honestly, because I really feel I can ask anyone, and if I'm in need, they will do whatever it takes for me. So I really feel very comfortable, and I know that there are enough people whom I can, ask for help. So yeah, no issues there.
Awesome. Okay, I'll tell you why I asked that question first. So I just did a 10K this weekend. I cried before the run. I cried after the run for whatever reasons. And, I needed a shoulder to cry on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Question came from. But then you're very right. Friends are the people whom we choose ourselves. And, we can rely on them because we've chosen as per whom we like and so on. I totally understand that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. And how was it being a winner in a 12-hour run? Were you expecting this time now, being a winner?
And the Mumbai Ultra, it's very interesting because it's like a 10-kilometer loop. And every time you do a loop, another hour or 1.5 hours has passed. And Mumbai is different every hour. So you can just see, like what is happening during the day around Shivaji Park. And I am really enjoying that.
Yeah. And Mumbai is anyways quite a happening place.
Absolutely.
So I guess India in general also, with so many people around all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Cookie, while you did these ultra runs, Then you explored the Ironman also in 2019. How did that
Yeah.
start? Like the Ironman thing.
So Ironman is actually a triathlon. And Ironman is a brand name, and it's they've done it very smartly because for a lot of people, triathlon and Ironman is the same. Uh, so here in India, they organize a half Ironman in Goa. It's this year. It's going to be the third time, and it's 1.9 kilometers swimming, 90 kilometers cycling, and then half a marathon running.
Mm-hmm.
And then a full Ironman is like double, but that one is not really organized here by Ironman in India. But there are a few like full triathlons, not that many. Most people do either a half triathlon or even shorter. So there's also an Olympic, which is half. It's actually a quarter triathlon, and there are also sprints, and they're actually most popular.
Okay.
Yeah. So my colleague actually brought me in touch with this because he wanted to do Ironman. And actually, I didn't know. I knew what a triathlon was. I didn't know what Ironman was. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So for that, I also didn't, really do coaching. Like cycling, I know how to do it. The biggest challenge was that I had to buy like a road bicycle. So spending money was the biggest issue. But cycling in itself, not really a problem. Running a half marathon, also not a problem. But we had to swim in sea, and I didn't really have experience with that. So that was the only thing, which I had to invest like some time, to understand what sea swimming is, what the challenges are. So I did that, and I loved it. I mean, sea swimming is one of the best things to do. I told you I like running alone. Of course, cycling alone, I also like. But swimming alone, that's a complete other thing. So we swim in Juhu, so you can be in the water, from busy, bustling city. You get into the water, and it's quiet. You only hear splash, splash. And, you swim with some other people, for safety reasons. But, everyone does their own thing. And you only hear like splash, splash. And the sun comes up, and it's one of the best things. Yeah. So I invested a little bit in that. And then, I just went for Ironman Goa, actually just to complete it. And then I finished as second.
Oh, awesome.
That was also in my age category. So that was also quite like a surprise. Although, I was able, I could do all the sports. I didn't really see it like as a competition. I just wanted to complete it. And I was more thinking about, I hope I will finish within the cutoff time. And that went quite well. Yeah.
Awesome. Look, Cookie, while you did this Ironman, right? So now it's kind of adding two more sports into their category. Then you went ahead and did a triathlon also in 2020, sorry. Right?
Yeah.
Where you did 4.9 kilometers swimming, 180 kilometers cycling, and then a full marathon. Where did you do it, first of all, the full triathlon? Can you
I did it in Pune. So there's this club or organization called Power Peaks. And they organized a full triathlon. And I didn't know whether I was ready. So I read somewhere that there is also like 100 miles. So a full triathlon, full Ironman is called 140.6, and a half marathon is like 70.3. So it's in miles. So I had read something about people who had done 100 miles. So I thought, let me do that. It's right in between a half and a full. It's actually a three quarter. So I went there to do a 3/4. triathlon. But I thought, at least swimming, I can do the full thing. And then I was cycling and I was like, okay, I'm here now. How often do I get an opportunity to do a full triathlon? Instead of cycling 130 kilometers, let me just do the 180. And then I can just see. So I completed the 180. And then I thought, well, I'm here now. Then let me also complete, the full marathon. So I went for like a 3/4 triathlon and I did the full one.
That's awesome. Now, Koki, it's not something that comes very easy to do all of these like horrendous, very big milestone, achieve these big milestones by yourself. Do you think that maybe you are genetically strong, or do you think that because you've been training all your life, that's why you're able to prepare yourself for all of these long distances when it comes to swimming, cycling, or running? What do you think could be the reason that you are able to achieve these targets?
I don't know. I think, perhaps I'm in that sense like a bit talented, but I think, of course, really doing sport from a young age. And, I think especially for triathlons, being able to cycle, but especially swimming, like a lot of Indian women, running is the first thing that they pick up. Not many women know cycling. Sometimes they did it when they were young, but then actually picking it up again at the older age, and then, also doing it in like a city like Mumbai. A lot of women are just scared. So it's really something which is just not easy for them to do. And most of them they don't know how to swim. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and that's, if you want to do a triathlon, then you need to start from scratch with swimming. So, and that's a long process, because a lot of people think that, you can learn swimming like you learn running, no? So they say, oh yeah, I know this and I know that now. The only thing I have to do is learn how to swim. And it takes a year, to really know how to swim. And then if you want to participate in a competition, that's another thing. And also swimming in open water. Open water is not a swimming pool. So, that's another skill. So in that sense, I'm very privileged because I know how to swim. The only thing was that I need to know how to swim in sea. I know how to cycle. I'm very comfortable with cycling. I also cycle in Mumbai. So, that's not a problem. So I only had to focus on, building up that endurance. And I think, because of running, that was already, pretty much catered for. So I know that I'm, very privileged that at a young age, I learned all those things. And, I've also been able, to be active in sport all my life. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, Koki, you said it right, because even I learned swimming after the age of 30, and I learned it while I was in UK.
The women I run with, like here in my colony, because we have a group and I run with them, and after I run, we drink coffee. So they've really become my friends. But many of them, want their children to learn swimming. And I think because they see other women swimming, and they read my stories, because we have these WhatsApp groups, and we share whatever we do. They also start swimming, rather than sitting and waiting for the children to finish. They also, buy a swimsuit and start swimming. And then the next one, at some point says, I'll also join you one day. And I think now we have like six or seven women who have started swimming. So I think things are really changing. And I think also,
You're right.
As we are all role models, no? You are also like a role model. Whenever the things that you do, your family or your environment also thinks like, oh, if she can do it, I also want to do it. And I've seen a lot of like women around me also, who then think like, okay, probably I can't do it as good as she can, but I could at least start.
And starting is the most difficult part. Continuing is not so difficult.
It is, yeah. Once you're there, Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You will
Absolutely.
continue.
You're right. Things are changing. Probably it'll take another generation or two to change completely. But yes, we are in that phase where the
Yeah,
running scene or even the triathlon is still in a very nascent stage in India. But I see
yeah.
a lot of change, especially if I talk about Fitzo is the first company in India which has come up with a heated pools. But
Okay.
they got a bit of a bad luck there that the COVID hit as soon as they started the
Yeah,
operation. But then
yeah.
now back into the full swing. And they wanted to focus specifically on teaching adults swimming. Yeah, Cookie, talk to me. And then you didn't stop at 12 hours. You even did a 24 hours run. And also, you did Khardungla 72 kilometers as well. Now, first tell me which one was harder. Was the Khardungla 72 kilometers challenge harder, or was doing a 100 kilometers run
Oh,
in the
I
stadium
always
harder?
find that so difficult to compare, because they all have their own challenges and their own beauty. I mean, I love the stadium run,
Mhm.
and again, it's also because you're running alone, but you're also like part of a group. 24 hours. Okay, the challenge was actually running in the night,
Mhm.
where I got actually tired and was not able to pull them through in the night. And then
Mhm.
during the day, it was a bit like, yeah, it was, of course, hot. So I've learned a lesson. I know now what to do,
Mhm.
and drink a little bit more coffee to get myself going.
Mhm.
So Khardungla is in that sense, a challenge because it's in Ladakh,
Mhm.
and it's a high altitude, and it can be cold.
Mhm.
Like last year, I think we were lucky that it was not that cold, but it starts
Mhm.
like 3 in the night, and then the first, I think, 30 or 32 kilometers is up,
Mhm.
and then you reach the pass, and then you go down. And then you think, okay, at least now I can run. But that's actually also not really like the case because it's still high altitude. And
Mhm.
so that's still a challenge. So I don't know actually which is like more challenging. I enjoy them both.
Cookie, from there now, then you also qualified for the World Championship with half Ironman Goa in 2022. How was that experience and how are you training for the World Championships? Where do the World Championship really occur? Please talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the championships will be in Lahti, near Helsinki in Finland, on 26th of August. And I'm really looking forward to it because it's 2 days. The first day is the women and the second day is the men. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really like excited to do a triathlon with only women.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. At the same time, I don't want to finish last. Um, so I'm now preparing. Yeah, I'm now working with the coach. So my swimming, okay, is quite okay. I can go a bit faster because I'm more like an endurance, sport person. So I do everything, in my own time. And yeah, so if I don't want to finish last, I have to do things a bit faster. And I think especially in cycling, there's a lot that I can win. So I'm now working with someone who is like a triathlon coach, but then especially we're focusing on cycling.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of doing all these endurance events. You get to be in a crowd who like the things that you also like. Right.
Yeah,
So now, Koki, with all of these achievements, now you're training on the Indian soil as a white woman. So, did you kind of get any awkward stare from men or people in India in general while you were training for all of these, long, long distances coming to swimming or cycling or running? How was your experience?
yeah, I like not really because I think there's a different set of rules for foreigners.
Hmm.
I think so. I'm not judged like my friends are being judged,
Mhm.
and that's unfair.
Mhm.
So I don't experience any negative like stares or
Mhm.
glares. So my first time in India was in 1999.
Mhm.
And then I was a tourist, and then things were like really like different. Then, you know, I really felt like a foreigner and, someone who didn't belong. And
Mhm.
I think a lot has changed. I mean, since I'm here, I've never had the feeling that, um, I shouldn't be here, or, that, I was treated like in a negative way. I think I've only, you know, been treated in a very positive way in
Mhm.
that sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I think you and India have both embraced each other now.
Yeah. No, I have. Yeah, I think other way around
Both ways.
also. Yeah, I only have good experience, honestly. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear. And Koki, what's your vision in long term? Are you working towards a particular goal? I know that you are training for world championship, but beyond that, do you have any goals set, or how is it for you?
Not really. I just like move from one thing like in another.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about like what next once I've done this, because this year I'm really focusing on Ironman. So I don't really do other things. And I really started enjoying like running in the mountains. So that might
Mhm.
be something that I'm going to take up.
Mhm.
Or I'm, really going to focus a while on like a full Ironman. But
All
it might be difficult to combine these two. So, if
right.
I really want to, let's say, perform well for like a full triathlon, full Ironman, then I need to be a bit more focused. I managed to do a triathlon like once,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of scope, to do it better. So yeah,
Mhm.
so
So
it's
you'll see as it
either one
comes.
or the other. But
Mhm.
at some point, someone can just call me and say like, okay, we want to swim from here to here, and we're looking for a fourth person. Are you in? Then
Mhm.
probably I will say, yeah, yeah, yes, of course. What a good idea. I'm going to do that. So
Uh,
yeah,
Keep all the options open and see how it goes. I totally like.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, okay, before we wind up, the last question, any message to girls or women or people out there in general?
Yes. No, yeah, it's all about, I think women should really take up the opportunity to go out there and do sport, face these challenges, and try to tackle them step by step. Because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone. And my personal and professional life go hand in hand. I really feel that women, should be able to access their rights and to achieve their potential. And one thing is, they need to take that step themselves. And if there are men and sons and daughters listening, then I think, giving women that opportunity and supporting them, and, you know, perhaps giving them that little push will really be important, because I really believe that, things will really change if, women can just go out and do sport, wear the things they want, go out at the time they want, and um, yeah, go out on places where they normally wouldn't go. And I think, running brings you to all these places, or cycling. You go to places where people, don't expect you. And, I think women should really take that up and do all those things. Then only things will change. Yeah.
Absolutely, Koki. And I'm really happy, and I would want to congratulate you on the good work that you are doing, bringing sports to these marginalized women as well. So I think thank you so much for spending some time with us and doing such amazing work in these metropolitan cities. So thank you so much, Koki, for your time today.
Thank you also. It was my pleasure, and all the best with all the other interviews.